Right, what I want to do in our family time for the next probably 10 minutes is talk about, we've talked about effectively our witness into the world, okay? And I want to go a little bit more practical with that. I've just remembered something. So, could you get on the shelves in the Hope cupboard, I think it's the third shelf up on the left hand side towards the back, it's a brown box which says, I think, Gospels on it. Thank you. So there's a couple of things I want to do. One is I've got Gospels as you have just gathered, which I'm about to give out to you, which I'm quite excited about. So as leaders, we've arranged for some Gospels to be printed, which have our church details on the back, and it says on the front it says "Finding Hope in Telford," okay, and it's the Gospel of John inside. So those will come through just shortly. What I also want to just give you is, actually Rebecca, could you hand those out to people? That'd be great, thank you. Is a community survey too. Now, I don't know about you, but I find it sometimes difficult to bring up the conversation of Jesus. Sometimes it naturally comes up in different ways. And quite often as well, what I find is if I'm talking to somebody and they raise different issues, I sort of, I'm left afterwards and I think, I should have said this, I should have said that. I'll just give you an example. On Friday I was in the cafe here and I was chatting with someone and I'd actually invite them along to the Cafe Christianity Explored. And they were telling me that a bit about their spirituality, if you like. And they weren't interested in coming to Christianity Explored and such like that, that's fine. And what they said to me was this, they started to say, when they go up the weekend, they like to give thanks to the gods. And there's kind of this spiritual experience. And I thought afterwards I should have, I was thinking various ways I should have gone with that, but it was all too late. But maybe I'll follow up with him another time and just ask a bit more about that. But I don't know, is that your experience where you suddenly realise afterwards, actually there's a bit of an opportunity, I should have done this, should have done that, yeah? If so, you're a bit like me, okay? We're all in the same boat like that. And maybe it's a thing to pick up later on. Right, actually there, I'm going to ask you to give out some things again. Could you give out some to those there? You give out some to the other side. And you, would you give out to the guys here as well? One of those each. So what I want to encourage us to do, and some of you are going to hate this, okay? I realise that already. I'm making enemies, okay? That's fine. Okay. I want to encourage you to think about who you can give a gospel to. Okay, we've got plenty of them. I think there's 250 gospels, so you can take more than one. If there's a number of people you think you can give a gospel to, you can do that. Okay. But the second thing is this also, is that I want us to think a little bit about a survey. And I struggle to raise the conversation, but I have found over the years, sometimes having a little survey, asking people some questions, is a helpful way to introduce the subject of Jesus. And it helps us understand where people are at. And people are more willing to sometimes engage in that sort of thing than just off the cuff, what do you think about Jesus? Okay. So, why have a survey? Well, I think there's three reasons actually. One is that it gives us an opportunity to engage with people about Jesus. And you could use this with your friends, you can use it in other contexts or whatever. The second is actually understanding our community. And it's helpful for us to understand what other people are thinking and how they respond to different issues. And the third thing is actually it presents us with an opportunity to give a gospel to people as well. And you'll see that in the survey in a moment. Potentially you could do this on your front line. We did a lot over August about our front lines, which is sort of wherever we are, whatever our situation, actually we have a front line. There's people we meet day by day. So you could do that on your front line. We can also do this in community areas, so in more public areas, standing on the street, that sort of thing. If you're interested in doing that, and I'd encourage you to be part of that, and by all means speak to me, and we can sort of go to the local shops and things like that, and just engage with people there. We can probably be out here on certain evenings and just talk to people as they're going in and out of Admaston House as well. So it's about just trying to engage with people in that way. Now you might say, well, it's beyond me. Well, what I want to do is this, is say this. In terms of introduction, you'll see there's a little paragraph at the top of the sheet there, which basically says, hi, I'm Roland, or whatever your name is. I'm part of Hope Community Church. And we want to understand more about the views of our local community. And I wonder if you could help us by answering this 6-question survey. We intend to publish the results in our local magazine. So what we're seeking to do there is give some validity to the survey. It's something which is going to be published, so if you get answers to your questions, we'll pull them together and we'll publish results in the Hope magazine, which goes out into the local community, so people can see what people's responses are to the questions. What it also does is potentially help you, especially if you're doing it amongst people you know, is to understand a bit more about them. But also what it does is asking questions just causes people to think, and maybe it raises questions in their own mind. In terms of actually conducting the survey, ideally it's helpful to understand roughly what the age bracket is, because there's likely to be different responses, and it doesn't need to be rough. It just needs to be rough rather than detailed. And you can see there on the thing, just sort of, are they less than 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, or 60 and over. It'd be helpful to have some idea of the area. It's not particularly bothered, but from a point of view of the church magazine, it's quite helpful if we can say, well, people in the local area, this is what they said, as opposed to, let's say, what people in Glasgow said or something, if you happen to have contact with someone in Glasgow. Yeah? So that's the purpose of that. And then you could just simply go through the questions. You can always put the age bracket and area in afterwards, because you obviously know broadly what you're dealing with anyway, rather than asking them. I encourage you to take up engagement opportunities. As I said, it's often difficult. Sometimes we think afterwards, I should have said this, should have done that. But the point is this, is actually the questionnaire is designed to be very short, so you don't take other people's times. But if they start asking questions, or they seem to want to discuss a point, then obviously that's well worth following up on, and to take that. And I'd encourage you as well to, rather than start to give theological answers about things, is actually to rather than engage with questions and just ask them a bit more about what they understand and what they believe. So it's about us asking them rather than us bringing them the full gospel message outright. But then that leads into follow-up actions, okay? So it might be that you feel comfortable, and you don't need to, but you may feel comfortable to pray with them or for them. You may feel comfortable to read a bit of the gospel with them, or the gospel outline in the booklet. So if you open your booklets, your Hope booklets there, so about 3 pages in, you will find a little gospel outline there, which Tony, I don't know, a year ago, went through sort of the spiritual laws. It's that sort of a framework of just outlining why Jesus has come. So that's well worth your while looking at and reading and understanding for yourself too, so you're clear in that regard, irrespective of whether you're prepared to go through that with somebody. Certainly what you can fairly easily do is give them a Hope gospel. And one of the questions is, would you like a gospel? And would you like to read it on your own or in a group? It's one of the questions on the survey. Obviously, if they say yes, I'd like a gospel, then there you are. You just give them a gospel at the end of the questionnaire. Obviously, also follow-up actions if they're interested. What the last question is: are you interested in knowing Jesus personally? And if so, then obviously you can suggest Alpha, Christianity Explored, or other things for them to explore that further. And on the back of the sheet is just blank. You can note any details that you may want to note down for yourself going forward. So that is what I've got. You've just been given A5 copies of the survey. There are plenty more of those A5 copies too, so you can take a few of them if you wish. There's a whole watch here. I'll put them at the back. There are also some A4 copies of the survey as well, which are here, which I'll also put at the back. So if you prefer it in a more A4 format, I mean, it's up to you as to what you prefer, okay? Kind of an A4 is probably better out on a public thing with a kind of clipboard and that sort of thing. It looks more official. If you're doing it with friends and people you know, you may prefer to use the A5 because it's a bit less intrusive, if you see what I mean. Yeah? But it's up to you as to what type you want to do. What there is as well is what I've just gone through on the screen is a printed out version of that there. So you can take that away with you, and you've basically got a slightly expanded version, more like what I've said than what's printed on the screen there as well to take away as a memo. So, here's the thing I wonder. Are there any questions that immediately spring to mind, or things I'm conscious I've quite thrown out something for some of you, and it's kind of beyond your comfort zone. But I kind of feel like this is actually quite a good opportunity. After I've just talked about Elijah and the differences and the surprising call and all that sort of thing, it's maybe an opportunity for us just to reflect on that. I want to encourage you in it. I believe God has placed you in your place for a purpose. And that purpose is a kingdom purpose, okay? It's not about just purposes in this world, material things and such like. God has placed you for a purpose, for his glory and for his kingdom. And sometimes we have to, I mean, for me, it is, you have to overcome certain hurdles in your thinking, in your feelings, if you like, when you're going to talk to somebody. Innit? You kind of got to, you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you all have that? Yeah. Where you kind of, you got to. There's a little bit of a leap of faith, if you like, and you don't know how people are going to respond. That's almost one of our biggest issues, I think, we face. We don't know how people are going to respond. I was reflecting earlier this week, actually. I was inviting people along to the Men's Alpha, which starts on this Tuesday, and I've asked quite a lot of guys to come along. And I was reflecting as I was doing so. I thought, well, actually, if, let's say, 1 in 10 people are going to respond positively, then that means I need to ask 10 people to get somebody to respond. And sometimes we've got to think like that. Don't think about, is this person going to reject or not? It's a case of finding the person who's going to say yes. Look at it that way, okay? Look at it positively that way. Yeah, you're going to get some rejections. Of course you're going to get rejections. I mean, that's why not everybody in this world is a Christian yet, okay? Because there are rejections. But in all honesty, we have to step up beyond that and not count that against us. They're not rejecting us. It's actually about Jesus. Yeah? Any questions or comments? I'm going to give you the opportunity over the next couple of weeks if you want to feedback things, and you can always feedback outside of here or feedback to me afterwards. That would be good to do so. One other thing, while we're on this sort of subject, okay? On your seats when you came in, there was a little slip of paper already, which is a question which you, let me just get the wording exactly right, it says on it. Are there questions that you are concerned people might ask you about Christianity and you would like advice on how to answer? If so, please indicate them below. Now I want you to think now, okay, I told you before a couple of weeks ago, we only got one response, okay? So, based on that, most of you are extremely confident that you can answer people's questions. So I want you to think right now, okay, and this is your chance now, okay, you've got a couple of minutes. Note on this piece of paper that you've got on your seats, a question. Yes, you've got up to 3 questions there. Natalie's been kind to you, okay, you've got up to 3 questions that you've got, that you feel that people might ask and you're nervous about answering them. So we want to help you, okay, that's what we're here for. We want to help you in this work. So, if you grab a pen, a piece of paper, I'm just going to give you a moment or two to note those down.